Hello, world. Gather around the campfire yet again. It is time for another episode of the Simple Sports Podcast. This week's games on paper really aren't all that exciting, to be honest. Not to me, not all of them. But there are still a few things I'm looking forward to. I'll still be tuning in, of course, to watch Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones, among a few others. Kyle Allen. We'll get start number 2 with Cam Newton out yet again. And honestly, if he keeps playing that way, the way he did in his first start, it might be a permanent change. Of course, we get to watch Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They'll be going to Detroit on the road to face a tougher than expected Lions defense, though I think the Chiefs will still come out on top in that one. And there are a few divisional matchups I'm really looking forward to, like the Vikings and the Bears and the Patriots versus the Bills. The Bills certainly are one of the surprise teams, of course, this year. Each year, the NFL gives us a few of those surprise teams, as well as some that we thought might be pretty good that turned out not to be. But obviously, there's a big game tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football between the Packers and the Eagles, and so we will start right there. So the Packers and Eagles face off on Thursday Night Football on what is a very important game, in particular for the Eagles, who have struggled so far this year. They had a few head-scratching plays last week, like offensive linemen basically watching Carson Wentz get his head beat in while they just kind of stand around as if the play was over. I'm not sure I've ever really seen anything like that in the NFL, where basically the line just stands there. But there was one play in particular that stands out where drops back to pass, the rush comes through, and they just kind of let it be. Not really seen that one before. It was odd. There were also other plays where the line actually protected really well or blocked really well for running plays, almost picture perfect for some of their running plays, and their running back simply didn't find the hole, which was clearly there. They should have one of the best offensive lines in football, but to this point, it's been a bit suspect, to say the least. Jason Peters is starting to show his age. He was starting to show it last year, but I think most gave him the benefit of the doubt, considering he's one of the best left tackles in football. That is no longer the case. Not this year. It's showing. His age is showing, and it is showing a lot. And then there are the wide receivers. They've dealt with injuries, and on top of the injuries, they've had to deal with Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, of course, being out. I think Alshon will be back next week. Deshaun Jackson, I'm not 100% sure about. Their backup guys did Carson Wentz zero favors on Sunday, dropping passes. So many dropped passes in one game. I believe they had 7 or 8 in total, including a go-ahead touchdown from Algahor. Is that how you say his name? I'm sorry if I said it wrong. That's not a way to win, obviously. Your skill position guys got to make plays. You certainly got to catch the ball. That's just, fundamental to the position, especially a wide receiver. That's kind of how it goes. The quarterback throws it to you, you catch it. Pretty simple. I remember a few games last year, the Tennessee Titans lost for, a lot of different reasons, but in a few occurrences with opportunities to either go down and take the lead, win the game, or at least score and get back in the game, whatever the case may be. Mariota dropped a few passes, few great throws to a couple of different guys for touchdowns or long plays, right into the breadbasket, only to be dropped to the ground. That's just a gut punch. It's a gut punch for the team. Obviously, it's a gut punch for the fans as well. It's something the Eagles have to get together because their defense, in particular, the secondary, hasn't played well. It hasn't played well over the last couple of years. And while their front seven is typically special, they suffer a bit because their linebackers don't play up to par, especially in the backfield with running backs coming out of the backfield in the passing game. And as a result, their pass rush, one of their staples the last few years, is rendered almost useless. They'll need to be on their A game tomorrow night as a much improved Packers defense that has found its way into the top 10 NFL defenses and creeping into the top 5. It's going to be a tough game for the Eagles all the way around. Speaking of the Packers, it's a rare sight to see them with a defense. There is good news and bad news, though. It's a far better defense for Aaron Rodgers, who no longer has to worry about carrying the offense to 30 or 40 plus points in order to win a game, barely. So that's the good news. But the bad news is the Aaron Rodgers I'm seeing can't score that many points anyway. I know a lot of people say it's Matt LaFleur's offense, and rightfully so. He didn't exactly turn heads in Tennessee last year, and he didn't call plays for the Rams the year before. So we've yet to see him really boost the performance of any offense. Whether you want to say Rodgers is slipping or, which to my eye, he has been since at least last year, if not the year before as well. Or if you want to place the blame on the new coach. Either way, the offense has got to be better. The defense got better. Everyone for the last couple of years has been complaining about, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a defense. Well, guess what? Now he has a defense, and he looks exactly the same, holding on to the ball, being really conservative. And again, that could be the offense, but I have a feeling that it's more Aaron Rodgers than anything else. He's not been the same. He still makes spectacular throws, no question, but his impact and productivity has slipped quite a bit. Their defense has improved, obviously, but it's not the Bears or Ravens defense. The Packers offense is going to need to make some strides. And they have the chance tomorrow night against, a struggling Eagles defense. I'm sure there are a lot of kinks to work out with a new offense, having a new coach in the building with a new philosophy, especially after being under McCarthy for so many years with the same play style, the same verbiage, and all that stuff. But dark days lie on the horizon for either team that loses, as the questions will continue to roll in about either side, regardless of what happens. It'll be, is the Packers offense really going to be this poor for the entire season? Are the Eagles just not meant to be this year with all the injuries, the struggling offense, moving the ball, especially early in the games, the struggling defense, struggling to stop people? We'll have some answers after tomorrow night, hopefully, but for now, I am moving on. So for a first start, amidst all the given circumstances, I thought Daniel Jones did all right in this first game. Odell obviously is gone now, so he doesn't have the top flight number one receiver anymore. And Saquon is now out for quite some time. He missed a lot of the game on Sunday due to the high ankle sprain. Yet and still, Daniel Jones was able to respond and get the Giants their first win. Congratulations. But, however, we know what happened with Tampa Bay. We know what happened with all the missed field goals, including the potential game winner. Right after they went down and scored, the Giants, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers basically marched right back down the field thanks to Mike Evans and Jameis Winston on a big play, only to have their field goal kicker miss the field goal, and the Giants escape with the win. But just like I give credit to the Cowboys for beating the Dolphins, you have to give credit to the Giants and Daniel Jones for getting the win. I mean, a win is a win. Regardless of how it looks, it does go into the win column. And so you have to give them credit. What was interesting to see for me was the Giants start to evolve finally and arrive in 2019. Hey, welcome New York. Welcome to 2019 New York Giants football. They are one of the last teams hanging on to an aging quarterback. Some teams obviously hang on to them for the right reasons. For example, the Saints with Drew Brees, they're still winning football games. Obviously, he's hurt right now, but, big picture, they're still winning football games. They're still going deep into the playoffs, winning the division, scoring points, putting on a show. It's not like there's some struggling football team with Drew Brees. And, of course, there are the Patriots who, have been in 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls and won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls. In the year they didn't go to the Super Bowl, they were in the AFC Championship game with Tom Brady leading the way at age 40 plus. So it's been time for the Giants to move on from Eli Manning for a number of years. Even I, as a non-Giants fan, just as a football fan, just held out hope the last 2 years or so, maybe thinking, if he can get protection, maybe if he can get a better defense, they can ask him to do less. Maybe if they get him some more weapons, Odell starts to progress. Saquon, they drafted. Maybe this, maybe that. When all along, maybe Eli was just bad. And he was bad. In fact, really bad at times. The Giants knew all along they were going to put Daniel Jones in. I'm not sure why they played the games they did in the offseason, saying they were going to potentially go after the sit and wait plan like the Packers did with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. It was a lie, and I think most knew it was a lie and a bunch of garbage. So Giants fans, rest assured, listen, while you aren't going to make the playoffs this year, or really going to be in any type of contention for anything this year, you can certainly get to 5 or 6 wins, respectable, put on a respectable show, be competitive, and start to build a contending team around Daniel Jones and just move on from Eli. It's time, okay? And if all goes well this year, he brings to the Giants 2019 quarterback play, meaning quick throws, stretching the defense horizontally with RPOs, and then taking shots down the field, play action, deep passes. They don't have a top flight wide receiver. Golden Tate will be back after next week, so that should help as well. He's obviously a really good receiver. Unfortunately, Saquon Barkley is out, as I mentioned. So otherwise, I'd be even more intrigued about what this team could do for the rest of the year. I'm still going to watch, obviously. I want to see the progression Daniel Jones makes, what impact he has, if they actually have found their diamond in the rough that, Dave Gettleman was so adamant about. I'll be watching Sunday against the Redskins, a game they can certainly win, especially considering the hot mess that the Skins put on display the other night. So until then, I am moving on. 1-2 to start the year is exactly where I thought the Browns would be 3 weeks in, and the schedule gets worse before it gets better as they travel to the Baltimore Ravens this week. One of the last teams that you want to face with the poor offensive line is one of the best defenses in football. The Ravens are going to heat Baker Mayfield up, and I'm afraid they're going to fall to 1-3. It was a disastrous night for them, having to deal with Aaron Donald, Dante Fowler, among others. They were all over Baker Mayfield all night long, and they had him running for his life. This week is going to be harder, I think. The Ravens don't have a lone superstar like Aaron Donald, but as a whole, they certainly have one of the best defenses in football. Without question, top 5, probably more likely in the top 3. I'm not sure they're the best. I still think the Bears are the best overall defense in football, but no question the Ravens are top 5. In order for the Browns to be successful on Sunday, they're going to have to run the football better. Because of their poor offensive line, they have to throw the ball quickly and off RPOs and play action and things like that. But when the run game is ineffective, obviously those things are ineffective. So they're going to have to run the football better. And with those things ineffective, that then makes it throwing the ball down the field exponentially harder. You could see the Rams, against the Rams, they tried to throw it down the field. And before the wide receivers could even turn around, break off their routes and look for the football, the ref was blown the play dead because Baker Mayfield was on his backside and Aaron Donald or Dante Fowler or whoever else it was celebrating in the backfield with another sack. Run the football more effectively and things will get better for the Browns. The thing is, what the Browns do have going for them is that their defense is nothing to sneeze at. Now, listen, it's not top 5. It's definitely, I think, it's pushing the top 10, if not in the top 10. It's hard to say because they've been on the field so much because the Browns have turned the ball over quite a bit. I think, all things considered, it's a top 10 defense at least. It's nothing to sneeze at. It's definitely above average no matter what you say. And they have a bona fide Defensive Player of the Year candidate, or at least someone who has the potential to be that in Myles Garrett. That dude is a freak. He is a freak show. He is a beast. They need to be able to contain this new Ravens offense, which is far improved from the year before with the growth of Lamar Jackson at quarterback. Fortunately for the Browns, the Ravens offense isn't exactly some high-flying offense. Again, much better, but it's not the Chiefs offense or anything like that. They're a bit more of a bruising, punishing style with running the football with Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards a bit in there, obviously Lamar Jackson, and relying on defense. So the game scoring-wise should be close. And if Baker and the Browns can take care of the football, and if the Browns can take care of Baker Mayfield in the backfield, they will certainly have chances to win. It's on the road in Baltimore, which is a tough place to play. And it's a divisional road game for them, so it would be a huge win, obviously. That's a huge win for anybody. You can get a road divisional win. However, given the tough defense the Ravens have, given the improvement of Lamar Jackson and the way they play offense, running the football, the play action, obviously Hollywood Brown has made a huge impact so far. I'm not so sure this is the week that the Browns get things turned around. I got the Ravens winning the very, very close one. We'll see on Sunday, obviously. I'm pretty excited for it. But for now, I'm moving on. Also, this Sunday, we got the Cowboys versus the Saints. And before the season, this was circled for me as a must-watch. Two really, really good teams playing in a very, very high-energy place in the Superdome. The tough Saints in New Orleans with Drew Brees, hoping to get revenge from the loss last year when, honestly, the Saints got embarrassed by the Cowboys. The Cowboys get their first true test of the season. That's the way it was shaking up to be until, obviously, Drew Brees got hurt. Listen, I still think it's going to be a great game, but I got some news for Cowboys fans. First of all, it's not going to carry the same weight, obviously. Drew Brees is out. So there is a little bit of a letdown there. I think a lot of people are expecting the Cowboys to go in and get the win, and I am on the complete opposite side. I think the Saints are really good. I said it before the season. I said it during the season. I said it after Brees got hurt. Obviously, they lost the game against the Rams in which he did go down, but you saw them last week against the Seahawks get the win. This is a good football team. So are the Cowboys. No, I'm not dismissing them as some bad team, but I don't think they are on the same level across the board. With Bridgewater at quarterback, I think these two teams are almost exactly evenly matched. The difference is that the Saints crowd is going to present some problems. We saw them present problems for the Rams last year. The Rams are just a flat-out excellent football team. They're going to be all in on the Saints, like they always are, obviously. And I think the Cowboys, I think we're going to see them struggle and get their first loss. I've been impressed with Dak Prescott so far. You got to give him credit for going against the teams that he's gone against and having success and just beating them and beating them soundly. There's something to be said for that, regardless of how bad you think those teams are. There's something to be said for beating the teams that you're supposed to beat. But if he's able to go into New Orleans and get a win, despite against a backup quarterback, I'll be a believer then. I don't think they can do it. The Saints put up 33 points against the Seahawks last week with a backup quarterback. I do believe the Cowboys have a better defense than the Seahawks than what they faced last week, but I think they'll be aided, the Saints, by the energy of the home crowd, and will go up on the Cowboy early by 2 scores or so, maybe 10 points, and make it a chaotic, hectic environment, forcing the Cowboys to play from behind, forcing Dak to put his big boy shoes on and throw the Cowboys back into the game, and I just don't see that happening. I've said a few times, again, you got to give the Cowboys credit for winning the games against who they won them against, for the way that they won them. They beat senseless the teams that they were supposed to beat, but the Saints aren't a worse team than the Cowboys. They aren't a bad team at all. They're better than the Cowboys in my eyes. And with Drew Brees, they are certainly better. And with Bridgewater, I think they'll be able to hold serve without a huge problem. I got the Saints winning this one. Again, I think they go up early, a few scores, a touchdown or two, maybe a touchdown and a field goal or two. And then they just kind of hold on for dear life, barely for the win as the game goes on. I do think the Cowboys – listen, I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to get blown out. But I think between the crowd, the Saints playing at home, I think they get a couple of early scores. Sean Payton has a way of generating some offense despite who's out there. I think they go up early and hold on for dear life against the Cowboys for the win. The Tennessee Titans get to go on the road and face the Atlanta Falcons. God only knows what you're going to get from either one of these teams. The Falcons could come out and score 40 points with their high-powered offense, or the Titans could come into town and just punch them right in the face and roll over to a win. They have a tendency to do that on the road, especially games where you don't expect them to win. Those are the ones that they tend to show up, and then the games that they should win, they tend to lay eggs. So I think they could potentially go into Atlanta and get the win. It's going to be a must-win to me. The Falcons have been an underperforming bunch for the last couple of years. After their disappointing Super Bowl loss to the Patriots, they come out the next year, had a really bad year. Last year was a little bit better, although the defense was atrocious. They got decimated by injuries, which obviously didn't help. But by and large, the Falcons just haven't played good football, particularly on defense the last few years. Fortunately for them, they are facing a Titans offense that at best is pathetic. They're inconsistent. They're super predictable. And the threat of scoring 30 points is never really there. It's strength versus strength for the Titans defense against the Falcons offense. So we'll see which one wins out there. And it's weakness versus weakness for the Titans offense and the Falcons defense. The game is there for the Titans to win because they do one thing really, really well, and that's run the football. But the problem is sticking to it, because it's far too often that they get Derrick Henry on the roll. Even Mariota can get out and run, obviously, a few times, get some key third downs with his legs. But it's mind-blowing. They get on the roll, and then they stop giving Derrick Henry the ball, especially when the game is close or they have a lead. All of a sudden, they just move away from the running game, and God forbid that they get behind, because they aren't the type of team that can score in 2 or 3 plays. Most of the touchdown drives are off short fields or turnovers or long, methodical, bruising, physical, 10, 12, 15 yard or 15 play drives where they're just, getting chunk play after chunk play, 5-6 yards a pop, first down, move the chains, methodically drive down the field. That's the way they do it. So them falling behind is not good. They're going to need a few of those going on the road yet again. Those long drives, they're going to need to keep the ball away from that high-powered offense if they want any chance at winning this game. And already with a losing record, it is a game I feel like they have to have. They have already dropped 2 divisional games, and while it's only week 3 and there is plenty of football left to play, when is the last time you remember the Titans, winning 3 or 4 or 5 games in a row? Much less, 7 or 8, something like that. It just doesn't happen for this team. At their best in recent years, they would win, 2 or 3 games in a row, drop 1 or 2, and that's how you end up 9-7. So hopefully they are at the end of their losing streak for this year, start to put together some wins. We'll see on Sunday, but for now, I'm moving on. So that is it, guys. Episode is in the books. Like I said in the beginning, it's not the most exciting week of football, but things are starting to take shape. We already know who most of the bad teams are, like the Dolphins. The Redskins turned out to be pretty bad, even though I thought they would be a little bit better going into the year. We've already seen some teams move on from their starting quarterbacks. I like the Giants. Potentially the Panthers have found their next guy. Maybe the Steelers have found their next guy. And then we're also seeing some young guys continue to develop. Like I said, Mahomes, a lot of people thought he would regress. So far, no regression whatsoever, maybe in statistics. But he's on the pace to have an ungodly amount of yards and touchdowns. Obviously, I don't think he's going to throw for 6,000 yards, but it's not out of the realm of possibility considering how just good he is. Obviously, the growth of Lamar Jackson has been a real blessing for us in the NFL. He's been fun to watch. And then, of course, their defense is outstanding. The Patriots continue to roll. They go up against the Bills, another divisional team. That should be an excellent game, even though I still think the Patriots win pretty comfortably. But it should be a lot closer than in years past. So still some interesting games to watch. I'll see you guys later on this week, maybe next week. But until then, peace.